welcome to Culture Cafe. Father's Day is around the corner, and it's a good time to say love and show our gratitude to our fathers. Today I have three guests with me, Sasha, James, and Jen. So we're gonna share our stories with our fathers, and hopefully that during our discussion and our show can inspire you to think or spend some time to recall like the good memories between your father and you. Thank you very much to join our show.
Yes,
Thanks.
great to be here.
Be here.
Lovely.
Thanks for having us.
Lovely. So can we hear some stories between your father and you? Like tell us more about your father and also your relation with your fathers. So maybe let's start with Zhen.
As I grow up, I always consider my father a big guy. You know, he's literally big. He's 180 centimeters tall, 90 kilos. And now I'm a bit taller than him, but still he's like twice the width of me. So he's so big, he can physically give you this sense of secure. And like most Chinese dads, he does not talk to his kids a lot like mothers do, you know. But whenever he talks to me, it's got to be a meaningful conversation. And he doesn't really care about what I had for breakfast, but he really cares about what decisions in life that I'm going to make. And it's got to be a meaningful decision, and it's got to have a purpose. And when I decided to go to United States to study, my mother was kind of worried and in doubt. She's like, what if you can't find a place to live? What if you can't make your own food? What if you fail your classes? But my father's just like, just go for it, son. You know, just pursue your dream and never give up. And I think my father always gave me this long-term goal and sense of direction. So I think I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's part of a typical, like the role father usually play in Chinese culture, right? Like the fathers always like give instructive and become very influential, I say, like about our decisions.
Oh, one thing. Whenever I have a argument with my mother, my father is always the fair judge, between us. He's very reasonable and impartial. He's not partial to anybody. He's just, if you are right, you are right.
Yeah, I think it's like a very like in China this is a very traditional role a father play that he's totally qualified for that, and the son feel respect, right, like that.
Whereas me and my mother, we are always like very emotional and irrational.
Yeah, I got that. And how about James?
Yeah, so my father was born in Leicester in England in the 1950s, and I suppose when he was younger, he didn't really have it all that easy. Mm-hmm. So I think in those times, parents were very controlling, and when he was about 14 years old, his father, my grandfather on his side, made him leave school, and he went to work. A few years later, he then joined the police force. He worked there for a few decades. Then he came out, retrained as a teacher, and then later became a private collector of Enigma machines as well. So I think, from his youth, he had a lot of negative experiences that he didn't want me or my brother to experience ourselves. So, what I'm quite appreciative of is the fact that, whatever me or my brother wanted to do, they were always very supportive. And it didn't matter whether it was, girlfriends, wives, careers, what we do in our free time, they were very supportive. If they disagreed with something, of course, they always felt free to bring it up with us, and both of them were always very reasonable. And also with my father as well, from the time I was born until I grew up as well, he was always there. So he was always with us, he was a very big family man. So he wasn't the kind of type, when he finished work and he would go out drinking or go out with, friends, go to clubs or anything like that. No, he always came and he spent a lot of time with me and my brother. So we always had a very close relationship, which has continued to this day, even though I live a long way away here in China.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, you are in China and your father in England, right?
That's right.
I see. And what about Sasha?
My dad is completely like different from the fathers of them. And he used to be a sports teacher in his early career, I think, after his college life. And so he's a very sporty man by now. He loves do every like sports himself, especially tennis recently. But I'm not a sporty girl myself. I don't do any sports myself. But compared with Jen's father, my dad didn't give me any guidance or um, goals, set up goals for me. But he he always provide me with the enough space. He and my mom just give me that space to grow up, and I am very, I don't know, I became independent in my life since I was I don't know, high school, because I went abroad when I was 17. So for the further education, I guess, in my high school, and my I went to undergraduate as well after that. So but when the separation came, my dad was crying like a baby. So sometimes I feel that because I have a daughter now, so I sometimes feel I can see when my dad saw my daughter, he like seeing me as my when I was a child. So it's like sometimes he said that is a very magic moment when he,
like a generational bond.
yeah, but more it's like he back to his youth as well. So I'd like to many like my husband says that the daughter and dad are the Valentine in their last life. So they always have that emotion, I guess. So yeah, but how about Xiao? I heard Xiao's father is also a teacher on campus, right?
Oh yeah. My father also like work and he's a professor in a university. And like we heard all yours, and it's so lucky. I think our fathers, we got fathers, like no matter in which way that they support us, and so it is with my father also. He's okay. He's teaching, like that's his career. So I think that is one of his personality also come from that. He like to give guidance. Teachers always want to tell students like what is right, what is wrong, right? But he is more gentle. Like he's not directly tell you what is right, what is wrong, but he will give guidance. He will not like he also will not James' father like your father, like he does not give suggestions. He does not give set your goals directly, like you should do this, you should do that. But he will give them some plenty of suggestions, like from his experience or from his generation's experience to help you to make a decision. But prepare some, like when you make a decision, like you need some assistant, like cases, right, to support. So that's what he usually do, and he's what impressed me and what I feel proud about my father is like he's really a warm-hearted person. He like to he like to give suggestions to students, means that he wants the students really to do well, right? No matter in their study or in their lifetime. And also he would like to give suggestions to me on my life or on my work career, like that. Ask me, you need to exercise more to keep fit, or like you like on your work, what kind of attitude you should put on your when you are working, right? So with this, I would say, easy. Sometimes people are so easy to get lost. Even us, right? It's easy to get. I think like I'm lucky. I got like my father like as a mentor that I can go for, and he gives suggestions to me, and also he listening. He gives suggestions to the people around me, like or the family members or his students, friends who need suggestions, like that. So that's what I feel proud of my father. And what about you guys?
So in my case, I think there are two things, two personality traits my father has that I really admire. So one is definitely determination. So like I said, in his earlier days, he didn't always have it very easy. So he left school when he was 14, but he always worked very hard to improve himself. And later in life, when he was a policeman, he started to study part time at a university. And I think a degree that normally takes about 3 years maybe took him 5 or 6. And I think that was very difficult to balance. So one, had his work as a policeman and also his family commitments, and on top of that, he had to complete the coursework and do all the lessons as well. So he managed to succeed in that, and then after that, he left the police force, and eventually he became a collector of Enigma machines. And that's really the source of the second trait that I really admire in him as well. So when he quit being a teacher, he did that in favor of collecting Enigma machines. But in the beginning, he didn't really have so many resources for that. So there was a little bit of risk involved, but for all of his life, he was always really interested in history, particularly in Second World War history. And then he got to know a little bit about Enigma machines, and so he started buying books and started reading them in his free time. And after a couple of years, he really managed to become an expert in the subject. So he managed to quit teaching, and then he became a full-time collector of Enigma machines. And for about 20 years now, he's been doing something that he has a lot of passion for. So that's something I really admire, his ability to perhaps take a little risk and really try to pursue something that he is passionate about.
Yeah, inspiring, I think.
Yes, definitely.
So it's never too late to start a habit.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
And the father said of role that he can do it, and so we think as a kid also we can do it, right? As their child.
Sure, and I think that's something I've managed to copy to an extent in my own life as well. Whether coming out to China, of course, I mean it's a different kind of situation, but I've experienced the same things with learning media, which is involved in the job I do now. But also, learning, Chinese. Also, pursuing my, passion for Asian culture, because I also spent some years in Korea as well. So during those times, now I was always willing, kind of, to take a little bit of a risk, but it was something I was passionate about, and I suppose because of my father, for what I saw in him, I also had the courage to kind of do something similar.
I understand.
That's also the lesson that he taught you. Yeah, very important.
Yes, but I would say it's also an indirect lesson as well. It's not something he really kind of sat me down and said, in life, you've got to kind of act like this. He really kind of taught me through basically his actions and his words. And that's just something I caught on to.
Have your interest in Chinese culture in turn influenced your father in any way?
Definitely. I mean, he's been to China on quite a number of occasions, and he's always really enjoyed it here. Whether it's the people here, the food, or the travel. But I suppose he's been a little bit restricted by the fact he has a lot of commitments in England.
Right.
And also, for example, in the case of my mother, she's kind of the opposite. So when she comes here, she really likes it here. She really admires, the state of the country, how advanced it's become. But at the same time, perhaps she finds it a little bit difficult to get used to the spicy food, the language, culture barrier. So she finds it a little bit difficult to stay, perhaps beyond 2 weeks or so. So, despite the fact that my father really loves it here, I'm sure he could come and live here. But kind of commitments in England means he's not able to do it.
All right. So, like the part you feel proud about your father, I mean, is that like also some lessons that you think like the most important lessons your father has taught you and influenced your life?
Yes, I would say those two lessons as well. But there were other positive things he does as well. So, despite the fact I left England about 17 years ago, and the fact that we don't really see each other as often as we should, but he's always been in the background, really, helping out. So sometimes I have issues that happen in England that I need help with. So in the past, when I went to Korea, I needed his help with some documentation, getting apostilles on certificates, and I suppose most lately I got the Chinese green card. But also with that, I needed a lot of documentation as well. But like I said, he's always been very supportive and without any hesitation, despite the fact we spend so little time together nowadays, he's always been there in the background and helping out, and he's always been very positive, supportive, and always done his best for me and my brother.
Nice. You know that. Jun, what about you? Like, what makes you feel proud about your father, and also what the most important lesson that you think he has already taught you?
The lesson I can learn from my father is that he always treat my grandparents with respect and patience and very kindly. I think because my My grandma passed away very young, and my grandpa was all alone since then. And whenever my dad talks to my grandpa, he's always very kindly and very patient. And since my grandpa had a bit of a hearing problem, he cannot hear very clearly, and my dad always talked very slowly. And every year during Spring Festival, we will drive all the way from Chongqing to our old town in Sichuan province to see my grandpa. And my dad is just such a good kid, you know. He's very filial and treat every family member with love and respect. And I think compared to him, I'm kind of ashamed whenever I talk to my parents with a bad tone or attitude, you know. So I think that's a lesson I can learn from my dad is to treat parents, every family member, especially parents, with love and respect.
Yeah, like this thing you talk about in China culture, we call it like a filial piety,
Yes.
like that. Yes, and that's this kind of this kind of culture actually tradition or like the virtue, right? Is passed down actually generation by generation. You can see like Zheng said like his father performed like that to very well like to their grandparents, and Zheng will feel pity about himself because sometimes he's kind of rude to parents. I think that's the way really like how this is from small families that it's like mirror, right? We see that. So it is with my case also. Like, okay, the lesson my father has taught me, I think it's quite interesting. You know, like the things like he taught me. From him, I learned that to be optimistic, even when you are in hardships. That he has his own way to make me feel this way. You know, like. When I was very young, sometimes like as a girl, you will like feel down or something, hurt somewhere, leg or something is hurt so much, I would cry, right? I would cry. But each time my father saw that, saw I hurt myself, he would just laugh, you know. It just made me feel it's like this thing is maybe it's not terrible, it's just like funny thing, even like you feel down. So like even I think that's a small things, details, but it helped me kind of develop this kind of
It's a strong personality.
Just think, even you feel down, you know, it can be sometimes, you know, from others' eyes, it's not that bad, and sometimes, you know, like my father gave me like the impression, it's kind of funny, it's okay, he just smile and just laugh at me, and you gotta stand up, like that. So that's my case. It's very kind of like special memory I have with my parent, my father, like that. Yeah.
So we're the same. My dad's always like do like stand up by yourself as well. So he doesn't really care about if you really hurt yourself, but he cares. But
he can say actually you don't hurt that much. As a girl, you like to cry. I know, but it's so funny. Like he will laugh.
I won't cry anymore
okay.
when I grow up a little bit like more, and. I have some like scars on my knees everywhere, and I just used to it, get used to it. Despite that, I want to share some like good memory with my family, because I went to school abroad for many years. Yeah, I don't have too much time to spend with them, and I always call my mom instead of my dad, and I will call my mom every day, like to check my safety and my daily life. But I will say the best experience with my dad was a trip to Honolulu. And I arranged that trip myself, and but my parents cannot speak English, so they are really in panic when once they arrive the Honolulu airport. So, and we went to diving. I went to diving with my dad, and but he was like he got the sick of the ship, so. He cannot do the diving himself, because there was a little test when you come down to the water. Before you dive in, you need to like do a little test. Yeah, a little small test and my dad couldn't do that, and I did that, and I just diving down to the sea. But I want to I want to I want to experience the diving. I love diving myself, and I want to diving with him, personally. But he couldn't do that, and he is getting old right now. He was 50, I guess, when he went to that trip with me. So I just realized from that trip, I realized he's getting old, and he is not as strong as I thought since that trip. So um, I think Father's Day or this special festival just or this experience just tell me that I don't know, parents. I don't know, the time that we could spend with them is really limited. So yes, that's a big lesson.
Yeah, I was quite touched by the part you talk about like your father, and you realized that they are also aging, like throughout the time. To me, it's also like the good memory with me with my dad is like actually there are a lot. Like we grew up with them with their care, and the memories I can will say if like the very best one is like very young age. When I was very young, and he already took me for travel when I was very young. That gave me, like the experience to see around the world somewhere out of where I live. And he sometimes, like as I growing up, he still take out for travel, but not as now. For example, like when I was middle school or high school, and then he started like I need to take care of him a little bit on the way. He was very curious person. If we are joining a tourist group or we are going with family out, he will just explore by himself and look around. And I need to keep him always with us, or he will get lost. Like gradually, at a young age, he took me, and then gradually I found, on the way I need to, take care of him a lot. And then gradually, like since a few years ago, I started to take them for travel, take parents with me for travel, like another way around. I think this is like very, first thing is like I already get to travel with them. I would love to take my parents travel with me because since a young age I travel with them. Yeah. So and then second thing is like also they are happy. I can say that my parents are very happy when I took them for travel a few times, and I think that will continue. Like you said, like our parents is also aging, and I really want to grow up already, and we can share more things with them. Yeah. Like that.
One more thing is because you are single now, but one day in your marriage ceremony, your dad will cry like a baby as well. So, because my dad was crying, but he is touched, but not crying very like too much. But
that emotion you already
yes,
can feel
and all my guests and all my friends down the stage were like crying already, like with tears. And I know James will experience that. One day.
In the future.
Yeah.
Long in the future.
Even though I haven't experienced that yet, but I think I can relate that the father's love is much more deep and conservative. It's not as expressive as mother's love, but it's the same amount. It's just kind of compressed in heart.
So, yeah, it's expressed in a different way.
Yeah, in a different way.
So, what's your best memory with your dad, James?
Yeah, I have a lot of memories, but like I said, when we were younger, both of my parents were very busy working, and often my father had to do night shifts as well. So of course, the best memories are the times when we went on family holidays as well. And a couple of examples really stick out in my mind. So if I take a domestic location, for example, one time when I was about 6 or 7 years old, we went to a place called the Norfolk Broads, which is a very low-lying flat region in eastern England, close to the North Sea. And over there, you can rent the canal boats, sometimes for a week, sometimes longer. And basically, you can travel anywhere you like on the network, and you have to really rely on each other as well, because you've got to, of course, you've got to go the right direction. You don't want to end up, going out to sea. But also, you have to work your way through through the styes as well, the sluice gates, and also come the evening as well, you have to find somewhere to moor by the side of the river. And then, of course, that place there was lots of pubs or places you could go as a family to go and enjoy yourselves. So I think doing those 7 to 10 days, we always had a lot of quality time together that normally we didn't have. Another example, one of many that sticks out in my mind was also a family holiday in Faro in the south of Portugal as well. And one of my biggest memories from there was also, my father taking me and my brother to go and collect seashells on the beach. Yeah, and then also there were like funny things as well. We moved into an apartment there, and it was infested with ants. And we had to, we went out together, and we found ways to kind of get rid of the ants together. So yeah, so I would say like the best memories are always the times when we had quality family time together during the holidays.
Yes, your description really make me feel like I really, because the vacation is also close, and really
Yes.
I need to create more quality time with our families,
Yes.
to have more memories. I think sometimes these memories is like where the source of our happiness that we feel from mind, and the power to support through that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think in everyday life, especially when we're working or have other commitments, it's very difficult to give a single family member, or perhaps two or three of them, one maybe 100% of your attention.
Yes.
But that's something, especially in those days. I mean, that was back in the 1980s, early 90s, before the time of mobile phones, and at that time, computers were very simple and not so much fun. So, of course, in those days as well, we had much fewer distractions as well.
Yeah, you would just need focus more, just like take this time, like
Sure.
to focus something that's very important.
Person.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like that. And John, what about you?
Like all of you do, traveling is always the things that stick out the most. So the first thing came to my mind was my graduation trip. My parents came to United States, and we drove all the way from New York down to Miami. And yeah, that was really good because family bonding is a complicated thing. When you haven't seen each other for a long time, you miss each other a lot. But when you are like you stick together, you hate each other a lot, especially with your mother. So traveling is the only time you all have a common purpose, that is to explore the world more. So that was really fun. We drove a lot, but the thing I'm gonna talk about that I cherish the most is another thing. Is when I first got to United States, we had some assignment to make a short video about someone you know. By the time I was kind of homesick, and I did not have a lot of friends around. So while all my classmates have all these interviewees, artists, to talk about, I did not have anyone to share with. So I was very homesick. I did not know who to interview. So I just made this video about me and my father. So I talked to him on the phone, and we decided to shoot our own footages individually, and to edit them together, like on a split screen. So it's very simple. It's just my daily life and my father's daily life.
Compare, right?
Yeah, like a comparison.
Like you are in New York,
yeah,
what you're
yeah.
doing daily, and correspondently, it's what your father, what he's doing here, right? I think we can share with us, because it's really interesting. Like there's a time difference, and to see what these two.
There's time difference. So when I get off work from school, my father's just start his day, in the morning. So I would text my dad, "Good morning, Dad. How are you today?" And he's like, "Good evening, son. Like, what day do you have?" Like, so.
Yeah. Let's maybe have a look at the video. Yeah, to share with us.
If you miss the train I'm on, you will know that I am gone. 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles, 100 miles. You can hear the whistle blow. 100 miles. Lord, I'm one. Lord, I'm two. Lord, I'm three. Lord, I'm four. Lord, I'm 500 miles away from home. 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 Lord, I'm 500 miles away from home. Not a shirt on my back, not a penny to my name. Lord, I can't go back home this way.
I mean, the quality of that video isn't that good because I was not a professional video maker. Some of the shots are kind of shaky, but I think the emotions are authentic and real. And when I showed that video to my classmates and teachers, all of them were touched, and a few of them cried. So I think I kind of succeeded in that task. But also, I'm very appreciative of this opportunity to really make that bond with my father.
So because your video is like I was touched by it a lot, and because I also had a time while I was abroad for a few years and separate from my father for a long time, and there was a time I remember clearly that there is like something happened to me. It's a really bad thing, but it's okay. It's not physical bad. It's just like a psychologically like an attack to me, and then I was feel so bad. I did not text. Really want to look for somebody to talk, but I'm not that kind of person, like to tell my like feelings that much to feel really bad to my friends or someone. So, okay, I was thinking the hard time really like close to collapse like that, and then I was thinking, okay, I should text my father. Definitely, I have to text to my father. Even he was far away, and I don't want to make him worry. But this was time I knew him, and I texted him to tell him that I need to, like what happened to me. But my father was very calm. He like fed me back immediately. Like I know because time difference, he's busy with work at the time. I know, but he just fed back me immediately because I told him like, Father, I really feel bad. I know that does not happen to him a lot. I do not send this kind of message never. But when he got the message and he told me immediately that calmly listen me out. It's not like my mother. If I tell my mother, my mother will just panic. Freak out. What gonna what? She would get on nerve and make you more, even more feel more worse, right? But father is like a different role, like more calm, like you said, more calm, more deep, and he hear you out and give you.
Saying father's love is like this.
Yeah, like calm you down, like that, and he give you suggestions, and he will tell you like this thing is really not that bad. You can handle, you can overcome it. Just after 1 hour's talk, I think I gain my, collect myself, like gain my strength back. Like if like really bad thing like happen or something, my father, I think definitely he is the one that I will reach out to tell.
You just remind me one thing is that from my personal perspective, I think my dad had done some very tiny little thing that's really moved me. When I every like vacation I came back home, and one time is there was heavy rain outside, and I am outside that time, and I call my dad, and he bring a huge umbrella to pick me up. And one time is when I really mad at drying my hair after that, and he can dry my hair really patient with patience because the long hair like have an hour to dry it. And I post on my social media to say that these two moments, yes, I really feel the tiny little thing really moved me because this is what dad is doing. And but when I'm living alone, I won't feel.
I do have a question to James, probably to Hure as well. Is that what is the thing that you did not understand as a child of your father, but now that you have your own kid, you can understand and appreciate it now?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing in my case is that when I was a child, the world was just so simple.
Yeah.
So if me or my brother had something we wanted to do, we'd ask our parents, and sometimes it might not have been possible for them to agree to it, and we can do it, and of course we'd be disappointed, and maybe we would blame them, or maybe feel a bit of resentment. But particularly as I became a father myself, I kind of realised that life is obviously a lot more complex. So when I was little, maybe we didn't really have a big appreciation of the kinds of pressures they were under. So of course they have their own work.
We're just trying to be rebels.
Yeah, of course there was that as well. I suppose when I was younger, we were also a little rebellious ourselves, and of course that would have put a bit of extra maybe pressure on them as well. But also we kind of, when I was a child, I suppose, maybe we had the feeling that the world kind of revolves around ourselves.
Yeah.
But as a result of that, maybe we didn't appreciate the fact that our parents also have their own lives as well. They have their own passions, the things they want to be able to do in their own lives, and perhaps because of family commitments, they also have things that they cannot do as well. So now I've become a father myself, I have more appreciation for this, and of course, life is not so simple. And though I have similar occasions now as well, where sometimes if my daughters have something they want to do, it's not always possible for us to agree to it. But nevertheless, we always do our best.
For me, he was the first time to be a dad. So, and I'm the first time to be a mom right now. So I would think sometimes he always had a good intention. Maybe the measures is not that proper, but I understand that because he has the good intention. So maybe the I can I can say that his measures could be better to be improved or something. I suggest to him recently because he used the same measures to my daughter. So my daughter maybe doesn't like it, and I just suggest him to change a little bit. But he said to me that his temper is like that, and maybe it's hard for him to change his way to educate, but still he shows his love and intention in a different way, I
Yeah, like
guess.
motivation is good. Like
Yeah,
you
yeah,
can
yeah.
feel that because now you're a father and you can
Yes.
feel why your father would want to do that. But just way is kind of different now, right?
I will still do the suggestions on his approach for education. I will, and I will change myself as a parent right now. So I will change something that kids will definitely hate it, but I just understand his intention and his thoughts a little bit more, I guess. So, what's your guys' plans for Father's Day?
Yeah, it's coming. That's right. Very practical question. Like what to prepare for your father. Sasha, what did you prepare? Not yet, but it's not late to think about it. You can hear us out. Maybe you can give you some some inspirations.
Because in China we don't have that tradition to prepare for the Father's Day, I guess.
Yeah, but still we can, you know. They were feel happy. I think like Mother's Day, I always give like a bunch of flowers. My mom's so happy. I think my father will also be, you know, like very happy to get some gift. James, have you planned?
I mean, it's like this. I mean, in the past, when I was in England, and also a few years after I came to China, I was in the habit of buying my father the best bottle of Jack Daniel's whiskey because he's a big fan of whiskey. But a bit later, you know, he started to tell me that really, you know, he's not so interested in the material things. So really, what makes him happy now is that perhaps come the day, you know, I can just keep in touch with him, you know, keep him up to date on what, you know, my life is like, you know, here in China,
Yeah.
and you know, just, you know, show my, you know, appreciation and love for them, and I think that really makes them happy. But being so far away, you know, thousands of miles away here in China, it's really kind of difficult to do much for them, and I would really love to perhaps, you know, take them out for meals or to go on a little trip somewhere. So really, for the time being, and especially under the present circumstances, maybe I can't go back this year, or they can't come here. So the best thing I think we can do is, of course, you know, stay in touch, you know, communicate a lot with them,
Yeah,
show
more
our care for them.
interaction. Yeah, like that.
Yeah,
More
exactly.
conversations. I mean, like for them also, they will feel happy. You know, like like mentally, it's another gift. I think. Like that.
Yeah, I think so.
So, what about you, Jen?
Since my dad is an engineer and I had my bachelor's degree as a mechanical engineer, I kind of want to build something with my dad.
Together.
Yeah, together if I had that chance, you know, to build an aircraft model or maybe some Lego toy set. I don't know, but that would be a, you know, special memory, and you know, also I would like to just maybe just do something simple, you know, just to make him a meal, or you know, he's a seafood lover, so I'm probably gonna make him a lobster or whatnot. Yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah, great. I mean, like anything just through the. I think it's not that matter like expensive or cheap or like the gift. It's not about that. It's about like the thing that we tell them that through the gift or through even through our words that make them know that we love them and we care about that. Thank you guys for joining this show and also sharing your stories between your father and you. I believe these stories can also resonate with the like audience in front of the screen. And so for all the fathers in the world, happy
Happy Father's Day.